Amazing audience, we are live with Tim Shurr. Is Tim short for Timothy? I
Yes.
wonder. Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. So Timothy Shurr, aka Tim Shurr. Tim, please tell me which of your talents, well, let me shake your hands first. It's always a pleasure, right?
Pleasure's mine.
Tell me which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time in history.
It could be either that I've run a chain of hypnosis practices for the last 23 years.
Sounds like fun.
It is a lot of fun learning how the mind works and what drives us from an unconscious level, and really how to help people find peace and happiness and joy, because our world is so full of stress and pain and fear. And so helping people learn how to use the power of their mind to create their life by design is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And so I spent my whole adult life doing this, and so that's probably how I got a text last night around midnight. Way last minute. Are you up for this? I Googled you, figured out what you were up to. I said I'm in.
I love it.
And so
That's
here
amazing.
I am.
Yeah. So who did you learn the skill of listening from?
My wife. I went to school for many years, but I think I've learned from many professors, many teachers and coaches and mentors over the years. I think that my wife is the one that taught me the most about how to keep my mouth quiet, keep my ears open, right? And the power of listening, because the greatest influencers were not people who could really talk well, they were people who could really listen well. And so the more you listen, the more you understand what's really going on with people. And also when you get quiet and you go within and listen, you start to understand what's going on in yourself. There's this beautiful quote. It says, if you learn to go within, you'll never go without. And so I credit my wife to a lot of that.
What's your wife's name?
Stacy.
Oh, there we go, Stacy.
Yeah, good job, Stacy.
Why will you continue to repeat that skill of being that individual that is actively listening?
Yeah.
Why will you continue to do that?
Why? Because I think that if you listen long enough, people will tell you what their problem is, and they'll also tell you what the solution is. It's just interesting because we're so focused on what our problems are, we don't recognize what the solutions are, even when we say them. We don't catch them. A lot of times, the main reason people don't get what they want in life is because they're not focused on what they want. They're very focused on what they don't want, what they're unhappy about, what they lack, what they feel they're stressed about, and that's why they keep attracting more of it into their life, because they're so focused on what they don't want. And whatever you think about comes about. If you think about it most of the time, it shows up in your life. And so a quick fix for that is just to ask yourself one simple question, and that is, what is the outcome I do want? What is the outcome I do want? And it activates your brain in a whole new way and causes it's called the reticular activating system. It's this little part of your brain that causes you to refocus your attention on the outcomes that you do want and how to get them. And all of a sudden, opportunities, people, situations, tools, resources suddenly appear. Now, it's always been there. We just weren't noticing it because we weren't looking for it.
It's beautiful, right, to see that happen, to see how it's possible one thought away. You can be there, right?
Yes.
Where's the best place for people to connect with you and what you do via hypnosis?
So I have a few places. Of course, they can always go to timshurr.com. That's my place. That's usually where I've done a lot of the motivational speaking, and I've done TED Talks and stuff like that. So, but right now I'm really focused on health and helping people with their health. And so I created a brand new site. I just launched it. It's called www.loseweighteasier.com. Right. Because as a hypnotist, people always came to me for weight loss and to stop smoking. And I've helped more people in the Midwest stop smoking and lose weight than anybody else.
That's good.
And so I'm just really good at it. And it's using the listening. And it's changing your approach. And it's getting people to stop dieting. You shouldn't do anything where the first three letters spell die anyway, right? And so it's a whole...
I love that.
Yeah, it's a very different approach. I'm just telling people to do the opposite of what they've told you to do.
Right.
Because, America is very capitalistic. We're driven by money, and food marketers have brainwashed most of us to believe that eating the sugar is going to make us feel happy, and usually it just gives us diabetes and makes us feel more stressed. And so we're doing a whole different approach. And so most of what I do, I give 80% of what I do away for free just to help. And then there's some stuff that, can pay for the rest.
Yeah. Lose Weight Easy and Tim Shurr, TIMSHURR.com.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Tell me one other thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Over the last 3 years? Well, consistently, I have learned how to become a better marketer so that I can get to more people.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and marketing is really listening. It all comes back to what you started with. It comes back to listening to what people are really needing, where they feel they're struggling, where they're hurting, and then how do you get people to take action? Because a lot of times people say that they want something, but then as soon as they start to go after it, any obstacle that shows up gets them to distract. So marketing also uses a little bit of a push to get people to take action. Zig Ziglar, have you heard of Zig Ziglar before? He's a famous American motivational speaker. Who is Zig Ziglar?
One of the core statements of what I do, I think you'll see it in my mission, is that, Zig says, help enough other people get what they want and you will get what you want.
Yeah. Yes. And so he told a story about if you take a frog and you put him in a cold frying pan and you slowly turn up the heat, that frog will sit there and cook in its own juices.
Yeah.
But if you heat up that pan and then you put the frog in it, it'll jump right back out. And marketing is about getting people to jump and take action so that they can actually make their lives better.
Yeah, I love it. How does it make you feel being that person that's doing that?
It makes me feel amazing,
yeah.
Right? I feel like God's working right through me and I'm just on purpose and doing what, and it's crazy because going this direction that I went in, I've stepped away from doing the big corporate speaking and all the money and all that stuff, and it was really hard. I turned off about 80% of my income to go do this passion of helping people to get over type 2 diabetes because both my grandfathers died from that. And so I moved away from the money, which is very nice and comforting, to going back and doing this. And so it's been both challenging, but I know why I'm being put in this direction. I know exactly whom I'm supposed to be helping, and which is women over the age of 50. I call it after kids, because everything is focused on 20s and 30s, maybe even 40-year-olds. And then once you're 50 or 60, it seems like too late, you're too old, and now my clients, they're like, I want to feel happy, I want to feel in control, I want to feel my power. So is that from
like gestational diabetes we're dealing with, or are we dealing with the lose weight aspect, or is it both?
It's more of the lose weight aspect, with the type 2 diabetes that's heavily influenced by
because
our eating.
It helps. You lose weight, you get makes sense.
You take the weight off, but the weight is a side effect. What you do is you take the emotional weight off. We all have our emotional stories, our baggage, the war stories that we've been through that cause us pain. And so a lot of times we get stuck in it because we don't know how to work through it, so we just recycle it and keep reliving the wounds. So when you learn how to release it, and people have the power and they're walking around with it, they just don't know it. And so we get all this advice that's out there by the internet gurus, and a lot of it is not very good. If you're craving a slice of pizza, at a party, go in the bathroom and do a yoga pose. Really? That's what we're going to do? I'm not doing downward dog in the bathroom because I want a piece of pizza. But that's the advice that's being dished out. And so I thought, no, there's better ways. And so it's really the emotional freedom, taking back a sense of power, a feeling of control, knowing how to reduce your stress and use your brain to your advantage and release the dopamine and the endorphins and all the happy medicines that are already inside of us without needing pills to do it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Right?
Nice.
Tim, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, boy. All right, so earliest childhood memory. I'll tell you what comes to mind. My earliest childhood memory would be when I was probably around 7 or 8 and going to my grandpa's house when I was little because he sold Christmas trees. And every year at Christmas we would go to his house, and his driveway was a field of pine trees. and it smelled like pine trees. So even to this day, when I smell a pine candle or something,
goes right back there.
I go right back to being little, and I wasn't old enough to sell or anything, but I remember walking through those pine trees and just smelling that smell. And then my grandma would always have something that she was cooking, and and then we would go and we'd sit down and have that meal, and so that memory is what came to mind.
Do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Yeah, very much.
How so?
Yeah, well, because my grandfather I was very close to him, and when he retired from working at a steel mill, I became his worker, right? And so he would follow me around on his tractor, and I would, he would pay me $1 to go wind up the hose, and then it was a couple dollars to, pull weeds, and then pretty soon I was cutting the grass, and he had a lot of land, and so it was a lot of grass, and then it would be, cutting firewood and stacking firewood and digging holes, and to this day, if I see like a post hole digger, I just like freak out. And so, but he taught me a really powerful lesson about how to work hard for what you want.
Yeah.
And then of course he was overweight, and I didn't realize till a couple months ago actually that he wasn't exercising either. He wasn't actually working with me in the yard. He was always on his tractor following me.
Yeah.
So he got bigger and bigger. He became obese, and then they eventually had to amputate his leg. And then the tractor rides went away, and everything changed. And then a little while later, he passed away. I think it broke his spirit.
Yeah.
Because he was always
moving.
Yeah. And so that really bothered me. So I got a strong work ethic, and I hate type 2 diabetes. Because then I got closer to my other grandfather, who was thinner, and but had a sweet tooth, and I was the same way, and he died from type 2 diabetes too. So me and type 2 diabetes, we ain't friends, right? And so so I think all those early childhood experiences, they shape what we experience, how we look at the world. It shapes our filter, and influences us whether we realize it or not.
Yeah, powerful. I love it. Don't need my help.
All right. I don't know. Take me back to that Caribbean water. I like that.
If we fast forward to when we were 12 then, when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
So I was laughing with my son about this because I think it was You're Not, We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister was the name of the group. Yeah. Just because it was about rebellion, right? And I had so many fears growing up, so much anxiety, so many scary things that I went through growing up that I had a lot of anxiety, and there was always a part of me that was tired of feeling afraid. And I think that's another reason that drove me into helping people to overcome their fear and to take back their self-love and their self-acceptance. I mean, that's what I'm all about. I want to show you how to love and accept yourself, period. Yeah. Right? Because that takes away so much of the fear.
I love that. Well, type 2 diabetes, we're not going to take it.
No, you're going down. We're going to crush it.
We've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Have you chosen someone, Tim, to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many?
2.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
No.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
More than 8.
If you, Tim, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who Timothy Shurr is, what would you say?
I am an achiever.
I love it. I believe that. Tim, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I think that what you're doing is outstanding, and I love that you are sharing so much of the knowledge pool. We get so divided, and seeing different perspectives and helping people to realize that on the inside we are all wanting to feel love and peace and have joy in this world. And the more we connect with each other and the more that we see diversity as an asset and a power, the more beautiful and amazing this world will be. And so I want to thank you for helping to make that happen.
Yeah, and thank you for being here to be part of that. Tim Shurr, thank you for bringing Aidan as well, right?
Yeah.
Aidan is all in. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Yes.
Boom.